he's got away. Saved! Somehow the keeper kept it out.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Panenka Show. This is the last episode of the group, episode 14. You already know me. I'm your host, Carlos Brathwaite. And to my left tonight, we have the tall man again, Patrice Marshall.
Hey.
Yeah. And to my right, Mr. Tyrion Brown. You good, Tyrion?
Yeah, you good, man. Cool.
Okay. All right. Episode 14. We're gonna be reviewing. Group H. We're gonna start with Korea Republic, Belgium. Belgium won 1-0. Korea Republic. No wins for them in the World Cup, and they're on their way home.
Yeah, for me that's unfortunate. They played a lot of good football in terms of being attractive, passing the ball, building up the play, but they seem to have the same problem that a lot of the African teams had during the World Cup.
The killer instinct.
Yeah, they lack a killer instinct in the final third. Every time they get there, they either lose the ball, they choose the wrong pass, or they easily get muscled off the ball because they're very small players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Okay. Belgium, they still haven't given us that convincing win. What do you think is their guys' problem? Just a lot 1-0, 1-0. But again, the job done, but they still haven't given us that convincing win that we expect from the Red Devils.
Yeah, I believe that they're actually lacking that real striking power at top. So far in the World Cup, Romelu Lukaku has a miserable World Cup thus far. The midfield, to me, is working. It isn't working in tandem with the actual striker, the player at top, and until they can actually make that connection and get that connection to work, I think that I wouldn't necessarily say that Belgium will struggle, but I don't think they'll be as fluent as they could be.
Yeah, Lukaku, as Tyrion said, had a frustrating World Cup. Was dropped today, and Origi, he came in and played 2 impressive performances. Got the start today. It was deserved.
Yeah, I would say it was deserved for him because when he was given the chance, he added energy to the team. He was fast, very strong. He's a handful. That he plays like how Lukaku usually plays in the Prem.
Yeah.
But for me, it's unfortunate for Lukaku because when you check the stats, they show that he actually only touched the ball once in the opposition box, the penalty area. His heat map always shows that he's either on the wing or he's dropping back for the ball, but he isn't getting the ball in dangerous areas. So he isn't getting to do a lot.
So the way men are delivering to him, y'all think?
I think that Belgium have too many creative players that they try to do too much on their own and they're not getting the ball to him. You have Mertens, you have Hazard. These are men that regularly do the damage from midfield. And he's a striker, he's not getting the service, and he's suffering for it. But Origi, somehow he's coming on, he's making a difference. And they scored a goal today after a shot from Origi. That Vertonghen got the rebound and he put it in.
Yeah. Okay.
I think at the point, I personally think that Origi is actually playing with much more confidence than Lukaku. I think that.
You think less pressure?
Yeah, I think that is the issue. I think that leading up to the World Cup, the burden was placed on Lukaku's shoulders to propel Belgium forward. And as we can see, he's clearly flopping, but the outside Origi now, relatively new to the footballing scene, he doesn't have the pressure on his back to actually, I don't want to say pressure to perform, but he's actually free to go and actually showcase his skills, and I think that it's actually working for him at the present moment.
Okay. All right. Talking point, the 4 sending off. A history of bad tackles.
Yeah, he has a bad history of tackles. I think he actually broke 2 players previously, broke their foot, and he got lengthy bans because of it, because he has a very bad tackling technique. So, I don't know. Something needs to be done about that because it's really detrimental to the other players. So, something has to be done.
Okay. You think the same, Tyrion?
I honestly don't have much of an opinion on the issue, but
it ain't got no place in the game for them.
There's no place in the game. That's all I can say.
If you got a place for Boyton, you got a place for that for that sort of tackles. So Belgium, they have USA next in the knockouts, but really got up these performances to really show that why they would be the dark horses, or my dark horses, and go on to win this cup if they can go so far.
Well, me personally, I believe that a lot of people are expecting a lot from Belgium because they actually know the Belgian players. They know Hazard, they know Mertens, Lukaku, those players, so they're expecting certain performances from them. But for me, a 1-0 win is still a win. So if they can win all of their matches 1-0 and make it to the finals, and then win the finals 1-0, they're still the champions.
True.
So, like, yeah, we might expect more from them because of the talent that they have, but at the end of the day, once they continue to get results, I don't think that the Belgian people will mind.
Okay. Do you echo those statements, Sarah?
Well, I certainly believe that if Belgium fails to up their game, it could actually be a real shock in the round of 16 game against USA. I honestly believe that if strikers like Lukaku honestly doesn't get into the right frame of mind to actually score some goals in the World Cup, and Belgium has to rely too much on players that Hazard to produce the goods, the USA can actually sneak away with an actual quarterfinal berth.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll go on to the second game, Algeria-Russia. The Africans, Russia had the early lead but cannot capitalize, and Algeria back with the equalizer, Slimani, the impressive Slimani. He had a very good tournament so far, man.
Yeah, Russia got this habit of overpaying big name coaches to come in expecting that they would get results. But it hasn't worked for them. It didn't work with them with the Dutch coach before. It's not working now with Capello. And we expected that Russia would do a bit better than they actually did. We didn't expect Algeria to play this well. But after how they played against Belgium, the match they played against Korea, they played extremely well. So then it was like, okay, they're no longer a surprise package. Maybe they could cause an upset for Russia and get through. And we saw that today.
Yeah, okay. Well, what do you thought? The Russians really weren't, well, they were too defensive in the World Cup. What do you think?
I honestly believe that the Russians were a bit of a snooze fest this World Cup. They played a lot of flat, boring football. They lacked pace in the midfield, creativity, little ingenuity. It was over. I think they actually deserve to actually go.
Okay. And with that point, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with some Group G action, the Group of Death. This is the Panenka Show.
Oh, he's had to clear, he's got away. Saved! Somehow the keeper kept it out.
And welcome back to the Panenka Show. Some Group G action, the Group of Death really lived up to its billing. Today, Portugal defeated Ghana 2-1, but too little too late for the Portuguese.
Yeah. I think that Portugal's curse today was that they had Ronaldo. And by that I mean Ronaldo is undoubtedly one of the top 2 players in the world right now. He's a very good player. But he's like, for example, he's like Kobe Bryant from Lakers. When Kobe is having an off night, he continues to shoot and shoot and shoot until he gets it right.
Because he got his first goal from 19 shots.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
19 shots in the World Cup. This is his first goal. And he had up to like 8 or 9 chances today. Chances he would normally bury. He could have carried Portugal to the next round by himself.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as clinical as we know him to be. And he ended up 1 goal. The other goal was an own goal. They won 2-1, but it wasn't enough. They needed to win by 5 goals.
Yeah. The Ghanaians, interesting fact before the game, Muntari and Boateng, they were sent home for fighting about money. So it seems like the Ghanaians,
Yeah, for
where was their money,
reason.
man?
Well, in terms of the actual attitudes around the Ghanaian camp, I guess you could say it was a bit of hostility, seeing that 2 players were sent home, and I guess the camp was kind of divided. But if you actually assess the football from the African teams this year, in previous shows I stated that a majority of the African teams, to me, in the final third, lack proper decision making, and to me that ends up ruining majority of the players that the African teams could actually profit from. But in addition to that, I also believe that the Africans basically shoot themselves in the leg. And in the majority of the games, they're actually playing good football. Their build-up from defense throughout the midfield is generally good. But in the end result, in the final third, they actually make a lot of sloppy passes, or in defense, make a lot of sloppy passes. They tend to score a lot of own goals for some reason. Some of the goalkeepers...
Not to put that out there.
I wouldn't want to disrespect a team by saying that they actually come into a World Cup to match hits, but they can't actually rule out the possibility. But I wouldn't say that. But to me, it's just too much silly mistakes that these teams make that you could say that Europeans or even the South American teams wouldn't actually make. And they think that if the African teams could correct the amount of silly mistakes they make, they can actually get profitable results from these fixtures that they actually give away. Yeah,
and I agree with that. The Ghanaians held the FA hostage over $3 million in appearance fees, and they got their money, and then they put in a performance like that. So was it really deserved, especially for the Ronaldo goal, silly goalkeeping?
My point again.
Yeah.
To me, Ghana lacked the intensity that they had during the game against Germany. They had a blinding game against Germany.
Yeah. They should have won.
I actually thought they should have won. They had the chances. They gave away a foolish goal, and because of that, they ended up drawing.
The team, but poor decision making.
But they didn't show that same fire and intensity today, and they paid for it. They
both literally and figuratively. Yeah.
They had to win, I think, by 2 goals. And that is not unthinkable. They could have done it, but they didn't play with the same desire that they did before, so they paid the price.
Yeah, that's true. And they're on their way home with the Portuguese. Next up, we had USA and Germany. Germany won 1-0, but both sides still went through. Müller, 9-9 at 24. What a player.
Müller is having a top tournament. He had 5 goals at the last World Cup in 2010, and he was the top scorer. Now he has 4 goals. He's leading the scoring along with Messi and Neymar, and he's showing to be a big game player. He regularly performs for Bayern Munich, and Germany are lucky to be able to call on a player of such pedigree.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. And speaking of players of pedigree, Clint Dempsey for the US. I mean, people were saying, oh, Landon Donovan is not there, they won't make it through, but Clint managed to marshal the troops through, even though they had a defeat in today's game.
Yeah, it's essential that Clint Dempsey actually steps up for the USA and actually be the leader in the team, saying that Landon Donovan obviously was, what's the word they're looking for? Controversially left out of the World Cup squad. And I think thus far he's actually doing a good job of actually rallying the troops and being the leader and being the main driving force in the attack for the USA. At times during the game today, Germany had the United States shot right out, and they were basically just trying to get behind the ball and defend and try to win the ball. And there were a few counter-attacks in between, but I don't really want to pull down the way the USA play, but it was kind of negative a bit today. But I guess in some games they actually have to play for the result rather than the style of football. So I guess they executed playing for the result, I guess, better than the style, actually trying to take the game to Germany. So at the end of the day, results went their way, and they still got through, and I think that's the most important thing that counts for them.
Yeah, at some points they actually had 11 men behind the ball, and Germany couldn't break them down, and it seemed like a practice game, no urgency, no anything. They were just there, like, yeah, if we draw, we both go through, so no need to rush for it.
But if you open up against a side like Germany, you know they could steamroll it easy, as we see with Portugal, even though they were down by 10 men. But what if? So they were still playing for that draw, but
eventually they lost.
Yeah, they lost, but they still got through. Which was the main goal.
I think that the United States must understand that at the end of the day, Germany will play for the win because they want to top the group. Germany wants to qualify with full points. So to honestly play for the draw, I guess that was an okay game plan, if that was what they actually intended to do, and that's what it seemed to be. But preferably, I would have tried to take in the game to Germany and try to stifle that sort of the efficient passing, off the ball runs, that type of stuff. And I think that Germany actually lacks a player that, like a Robin or Messi, that can actually take up the ball and make things happen if nothing else actually works for the team.
So
I think that if you...
Not to cut you off, but you wouldn't say Ozil could be that kind of player?
No, Ozil is definitely not that kind of player. I think that Ozil actually relies on probably runs and so on from other players to tread through walls and all of that. And I think that if you could actually shut him down shut down the team on a whole from making those runs off the shoulders of defenders and all of that, you could stifle the player Mesut Ozil, and he actually looks like a very ordinary player.
And take a turn a man or two.
And then when he beats a man or two, he sticks up with the ball and looks for a pass. If there's nothing, he probably passes back. If he gets down line, he doesn't swing in any crosses. He always cuts back in and let the play on the inside. And I think that if you could shut down the driving runs from midfield into the box, Mesut Ozil doesn't cross. Most of he's going to hold it, stall, or go back to the right back or whoever, following that on the play. And I think you could actually shut down the way Germany plays.
I think it's actually important to know on a different point that it was a possibility that Germany wouldn't even make it to the next round if USA was to win today and another result was to go. I think it was if Ghana won by a certain amount.
But that was a very slim.
Mathematically
it could have happened, but it was very slim.
Yeah, it was very slim, but it was still a possibility. So, like, Germany had to be very careful with how they approached the game, and I think they went about it the right way by being on the front foot, putting USA under pressure, and going for the kill. Eventually, they broke through a brilliant goal by Müller.
Yeah, and
that's it.
Okay, we'll be back with more of the Panenka show after this break. Stay tuned.
Oh, he's had to clear, he's got away. Saved! Somehow the keeper kept it out.
And welcome back to the Panenka show. We go straight into a talking point. In case you didn't know, well, you had to be living under a rock if you didn't know. Luis Suarez beat Giorgio Chiellini in the Italy-Uruguay matchup, and today FIFA has banned him from 9 international matches and from all football activity for 4 months. He was also fined £65,700. So today's talking point, do you think Suarez's punishment was justified, too harsh, or it should have been more? First part. I
think that punishment was absolutely inadequate. I think that the player probably should be banned for 2 years or something like that. I mean, this is probably the third or fourth incident that we've known Suarez to actually commit. And I mean, like, biting a player has absolutely no place in the game, and I cannot condone that type of behavior. And he's a player that is a household name, that actually got kids all over the world that actually look up to Suarez, that want to be Luis Suarez, and you can't be portraying that type of behavior to the kids for it to be actually reenacted in Little League football or something like that. And then Luis Suarez actually represents a lot of football brands, say Adidas for example.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Adidas would not want a person representing their brand to actually be out there biting players and that sort of foolishness. Is complete madness. I infuriated with that, man.
What do you think, Pat?
The thing about that is that there's no precedent. Cause I never heard of a footballer biting his opponent once, furthermore 3 times. So I mean, yeah, he needed punishment. He definitely needed punishment. But there's no precedent. So like, what were they basing this sentence on? You said it's 9 games?
9 international matches.
9 international matches and 4 months, right?
Yeah, a football activity. Can train, can...
Okay, yeah. You got that. And then you got players now that are actually reckless and detrimental to other players like Defoe, because Defoe got sent off today for a stamp, and he broke 2 players before that foot. So you've got players like that. He should be banned too. If you're going to ban Suarez 4 months and 9 international games for biting a player, you should be banning Defoe too, because Defoe just up there, he's detrimental. So
but you could say that a bite is different than a leg break. Even though you said before he did it twice, sometimes it could be accidental. But you think the bite could be accidental too, or does he go with the premeditation? Yeah, I'm going to bite this player. You know?
I simply would say that I honestly would not try to actually compare the two or put them in the same class. I actually think that biting someone is actually the animal behavior. So to even bring that in a football game, that's to me is unimaginable. It simply should not be happening. With a tackle now, at the end of the day, is football is a dangerous game. Sometimes there are hazardous plays. Sometimes a player could go in too hard or going over the top and accidentally break a leg. But you can't accidentally bite someone.
I think with players like Balotelli and Suarez, they're easy targets. So, like, when they actually do something, the media goes on a witch hunt for players like them and try to make an example of them. So, even though, yes, there's no place for biting, it's even strange that we're even discussing biting.
Yeah, at a World Cup.
At a World Cup. I mean, this is a World Cup where plenty of goals being scored. They haven't seen as many goals as this at the last World Cup, maybe even the World Cup before that. And one of the biggest talking points is biting.
Yeah.
So it's a bit disappointing from that end. But players like that always seem to be easy to pick on, and the media just latches on to everything that they do.
But on your point on the media, at the end of the day, the media can't have a story to latch on if the player doesn't actually cause an incident. So at the end of the day, they're only bringing the pressure from the media on themselves. And just when everyone thought that Suarez was ahead of now the bite on Ivanovic in the Premier League 2 seasons ago, and kind of went from villain back to hero again with the fantastic season he had, scoring 31 goals in the Premier League. He's gone and done this again, reputation right through the mud again.
Yeah. One of our Twitter users, Miss Riadon, she said that she thought that the fine should have been more. He probably should have been bound for more international matches, bound for more months, and it was probably just a slap in the wrist to her. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can say that, because it's 65,000.
Yeah, 65,700 pounds.
Right. That is like chump change for a player like him. He probably making like 200,000 pounds a week. So if you're gonna find a player like that and try to come down on a player that hard, then that is a slap on the wrist.
Oh, okay.
If we could cut in, but in terms of the 9 international matches, majority of those matches will probably be international friendlies that he will miss. And for 4 months of no footballing activity, at the end of the day, there's pre-season and all of that. The time that 4 months has passed, he's barely missing probably the beginning of the Premier League season, probably 6 matches, 5 matches at most. So at the end of the day, and a few Champions League games, at the end of the day, it is not sufficient enough.
Okay, guys, I want to thank you all for coming through again, man. I really enjoyed it. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at The Panenka Show, Facebook, The Panenka Show, YouTube search, The Panenka Show. Like, share, and subscribe to the videos. Check out the Blogspot. We got some articles from Pat there. So 2 very good articles, thepanenkashow.blogspot.com. And stay tuned as we go into the knockout stages. My name is Carlos Brathwaite, and hope to see you again.
Oh, he's had to clear, he's got away. Saved! Somehow the keeper kept it out.